We are back here, Peter's Living Room on the World Entertainment Information Network. It's been a great day. Been a busy day. I hope you've enjoyed the conversations we had. I hope you enjoyed the little trivia interlude that I've given you on and off during the day. And if you know me, you know I like some of it's important and educational and entertaining. Some of it's really trivial. I kind of like the celebrities that own houses that are haunted stories, and the food that's named after dogs or pets or something like that we've never associated with. But moving on, going to have a great conversation right now with my next guest. And my next guest is Peter Ticton. He is a prominent South Florida attorney, a self-proclaimed global warming acceptor, I like that, and subsequent founder of globalwarmingfoundation.org. You're also a personal childhood friend and a strong supporter of our president, President Trump, and has defended the president's character in the media. His prophetic views on global warming and how Trump will do more to get Americans prepared in that position comes to light. You spark it with a blog, and I love the name of the blog. The blog's name is What's Tickin' America? And I like the little play on the name there. And welcome. I'm glad you had time to come and sit down with us.
Oh, thank you, Peter. I'm really happy to be here.
All right. I guess the first question I have for you is, you grew up with President Trump, and how were you connected with President Trump?
Okay. He and I both were cadets at New York Military Academy.
Okay.
And in our senior year, I didn't really know him before my senior year because we were in different companies. In my senior year, he was my captain. I was his platoon sergeant. Okay. And I really think I don't think anybody was closer to him in those years. Yeah. But it's not just a high school; it's much more than that. It's military training as well as academics and sports. But we lived together, and we had to stand for inspections together and make sure the company was all set up and ready for those inspections. So
was he good back then at telling people what to do?
Well, he was good at telling me what to do, and then I was telling people what to do.
Okay.
No, he was the kind of leader then that you really wanted to perform for. There were different captains in different companies.
Because you wanted to perform for him, or you were afraid if you didn't?
That's a great question, and that's the point.
Yeah.
Most of the other captains, I'll tell you, they could be brutal.
Yeah.
If they were to beat up the younger kids in their companies, Donald was certainly larger, a bigger guy than most of us. Yeah. I think maybe all of us in Company A. And he could have, you have to stand there and take it because he's the captain. I mean, it's really a very strict kind of school that we were in.
Well, it's a military academy.
It was a military academy. And the fact of the matter is that where I saw a lot of brutality from other people, not once did I ever see Donald Trump bully anybody. Never saw him utter a word which in those days were acceptable, that were racist. I never saw him in any of these negative things that people think that some people think that are part of what Donald Trump is about, and they don't know the man at all because he's none of those things. He wanted to succeed. I didn't want to disappoint him because he was such a good guy. That was it. I mean, and he would extend himself to other people. So, he's exactly the kind of guy that you just want to make sure you perform because he deserved to have you perform.
Right. And your relationship, fast forward to 2017, your relationship with him?
Well, he's thankful for what I've done. He considers me a big contributor for what that's worth. He has said that. So
you're still on good terms with him? And
I love the man.
All right.
And now that he's president of the United States, I would do anything that he would ever ask of me. I mean, because I wouldn't just be doing it for him. Anything I would be doing would be for America.
So, and people who know me know I always see like the lighter side. There's no malice or anything.
Oh, that's good.
But if you disagreed with him, would he laugh it off or argue with you, or would you hold an intelligent conversation or debate?
I don't know how not to, and I don't think he knows how not to either. He's a man that would ask questions and get to the bottom of whatever it is. In fact, he actually has a good sense of humor. He does.
All right.
If you get it, or if you're approaching him with hate, nothing he says can be funny.
Right. Yeah, and unfortunately, and this is nothing political on my part. It just seems out there today, people are so divided with blinders on, and that goes for both sides. They don't want to hear, or they don't want to listen.
Well, as you'll see in What's Tickin', America, which is the name of the new blog.
And where can people find the blog?
Well, it's going to be out there in social media, and if they go to my Facebook page, Peter Tickton, and that's what makes it a good name. It's What's Tickin', America, right. By Peter Tickton, Ticktin. If they go to my Facebook page, they're going to see a good deal of that, and logical arguments on. Really, I don't write about things that other people are writing about. Or maybe it's the same subject, but I usually have a way of seeing things that other people don't see.
Yeah, I've been told I have a strange perception on things. Okay, so I mean, you've got a great reputation here in Florida. You're a distinguished attorney. Right. A lot of media attention.
Well, it's a creative nature of the practice.
Right.
I have a lot of cutting edge cases.
I was going to say, you say cutting edge, I say unusual, but
right. Well, by cutting edge, I've developed law where nobody else developed it.
Right.
So that's cutting edge.
You are the case the next lawyer will refer back to in making a stand.
Yeah, and sometimes the seminal cases that have been decided are cases that I brought forth.
Yeah.
Then I've had the only case of organ donor situation where somebody they took the organs of a 7-year-old child without the parents' permission, forging the parents' permission, and the child wasn't even brain dead yet.
Oh.
So they really basically murdered the child for his organs.
Wow.
So that was a court TV trial that I did for 2 weeks. And I have a rule, which is if I'm going to be on national television on a trial, I have to win it.
Yeah.
And we did, of course.
Good.
Or I wouldn't be talking about it.
Very good. Yeah, sometimes it's amazing when you hear of what other people will do.
The organ procurement specialist got a gold star, especially for child's organs. They're more precious.
And I hate to say it, and I've said it before, I'm a baby boomer. Right, yes. Grew up in the 60s and 70s, make love, make peace, not war and everything.
Right.
And I look at what's going on in the world and I'm going, what the hell happened? But anyway, actually relating back to stuff that was going on with that movement back then, with all these cases that you've worked and all the laws that you've created, you seem to have be focused on the scientific world and global warming.
Well, my background is in science.
Yeah.
In fact, I skipped my first year of college and my last year of college. I only had 2 years of undergraduate.
Yeah.
I was in medical school when I was 20. But then when it came to what did I really want to do when I grew up, it was law.
Yeah.
And so I switched over after my first year of medical school.
You could have followed medical school. You could have taken those organs.
Oh, well, I didn't. I didn't know that case was going to come up in the future. Although, to some extent, I do look at the future and I look at what's happening with global warming. And I'm not out to convince anybody. If somebody wants to believe that it's not really true, then that's wonderful. Just anybody who's listening to this that want to believe the global warming that the planet is warming, that's fine. But I would say that if somebody were to say, God, give me a sign, show me that this is really happening. Well, I think looking at 1,400 miles of a living organism off the coast of Australia, the entire Great Barrier Reef, and the fact that it is now demised, it's dead, I think that's a good sign. I think the war in Syria, which basically started because 4 years before that war, the drought started, I think that's a sign. I think that 4 feet and 2 inches of water falling on Houston, and I mean, that's something that hasn't happened before in the continental United States, although we've had some storms that even drop more water in the world, Hurricane Mitch was 5 feet in Honduras, and then there's the one that dropped 6 feet 8 inches of water on top. The fact of the matter is that that was a very predictable event. Now that we have it, now that this is the new normal, we're going to see more of that, and we're going to see deeper ones of that.
I used to read a lot about Nostradamus and all that, and the predictions, these people predicting the future, talking about when the end of days were coming and what the signs would be. And if you go and you go, oh my God, these major storms, the major, devastating hurricanes, the 8 feet of snow, the 5, 6, 7 inches of rain, the flooding that's going on, the earthquakes that are happening all over the place. Is this a sign? Is this what they're talking about? Well, and I look at it, I guess, similar to what you do, as Mother Nature's been here before us, she'll be here after us, but listen to your mother.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I think that you're going to find a lot of this addressed in What's Ticking America. Yeah. And the reasons that we're getting into this now, and why because a lot of people ask me, why am I doing this now? Why global warming? Why now? Well, global warming's been my passion for over 50 years. When I was 29 years old, I gave up my first law practice, which was very successful at the time. I had a meteoric rise in Ontario, where I was first a barrister. And there I sold my first practice, and I knew that I needed to do what I needed to do when I was young.
Right.
I needed to learn. I needed to learn how do we grow food. I needed to learn how to farm. And it turned out that I didn't realize it at the time, but I needed to learn how to rebuild engines. I needed to learn how to weld. I needed to learn how to build houses. I needed to learn how to do all kinds of things in order to be able to prepare myself for what I knew was coming when I would get to this age. And my predictions at that time have actually panned out and been true pretty well to form, although I was 5 years off in terms of the timing that I thought the world would, of the stage the world would be at this point. But
you're
meanwhile,
behind or ahead?
I thought it would be, we'd be where we are about 5 years sooner. Okay. Because right now we're about to start hockey pucking. In terms of the temperature of the world, the last 2 years we did hockey puck, and part of that reason is though because of the cool air that came down from the Arctic over the Pacific. That's why we don't have El Nino this year. People say, "Oh, we don't have El Nino," but they have no idea why.
Yeah, there's a reason for it.
The reason for it is that cold air came down over the Pacific and sucked the heat out of the ocean, which put more energy into the atmosphere and less energy into the ocean waters. But meanwhile, it didn't pull the carbon dioxide out of the waters, and that's a whole nother issue. What's happening in terms of the acid, the acidification of the.
Okay, so how do you, because this could be a major misconception a lot of people have, how do you feel, or why do you feel Trump's going to do more to work our way through to make us aware and deal with the, do you find global warming or climate change as a better?
Well, they're both accurate. Some places will actually cool more than.
Well, that's why I'm asking about climate change.
I understand.
I used to say global warming all the time. And somebody says, "Yeah, well, look at this place. It's been sub-zero."
But that's not global. They're looking at New York when an vortex comes down. That's not the world. That's only New York.
Right.
The entire world overall has been getting warmer each year, and in an exponential curve.
Right.
So the world is warming, and the climate is changing. And we're already changed. We're no longer the way we were 10 years ago. Right. We're different than that now. So when we look,
had more hair 10 years ago.
I had more hair 10 years ago too.
Me too.
But meanwhile, you're asking, like I think your question though originally is, like if we have Donald Trump in office and he doesn't believe in global warming, how is it that I still support that man? And the reason is that I'm no Al Gore. What's Ticking America does not support Al Gore's version of the way things are supposed to go. Al Gore and almost every single voice that is trying to, let out the hue and cry, look out, global warming is upon us. Okay, I agree, global warming is upon us. But I don't agree that the only thing that we can do is reduce our carbon emissions. I think that, if we take a look at what's going to be necessary to deal with the Houston storms and the different kinds of things that are going to befall us, we need a better infrastructure that's basically built for these kinds of purposes to be able to withstand it. Okay, even if your house gets flooded, you better have some kind of way of ingress and egress to be able to get emergency vehicles and get people out. The fact of the matter is that what Donald Trump wants to do right now is prosper, and that's what we need to do if we want to build and be able to deal with the effects of what the climate change or global warming is doing to this country and going to do to this country, whether it's Sandy or whether it's Houston or whether it's the fires that we're seeing now in California, whatever that is, because there's only certain things that global warming is going to do. But as you have more energy in the atmosphere, it's going to result in more water. It's going to result in more wind. It's going to result in more droughts. It's going to result in more fires. These are all directly related to climate change. You mentioned earthquakes, and that's really debatable. That's more the movement of the magma under the crust that tends to cause that.
Well, okay, and I guess this is ignorance speaking, but if the oceans are cooler or warmer,
right.
There's a change there.
Well, there's a change. Warmer water will expand,
right,
and it will rise more, but it's the same weight.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is if the glaciers or the ice in, let's say, over Greenland melts, well, then Greenland will be lighter. It will affect and adjust in terms of the dimple that it's making in the crust.
Okay, so we can't, and I don't want misquote. We can't just change the global warming. But what we can do is we can change our lives and protect ourselves to deal with it, to protect ourselves.
That's for those that feel that they need to do what they need to do in that regard. But I don't agree that we cannot change the global warming. I'm saying the idea of reducing carbon emissions, that's only one of many possible things that can be done. Geoengineering there are ways of shading the planet a little bit that would reduce the amount of heat that we're there's other things that can be done, and for this is the time that we need to do it, because anybody who's thinking that I don't have to worry, that's 50 years away, they have no idea of what's coming and how fast it's coming.
Let's talk about your own self-sustainability. You got a project, a dream being built.
Up in New England, yes. I'm building the house of my dreams, but it will also be a house that won't burn down if the woods does. It's a house that won't, hopefully fall apart with a Force 4 tornado. Force 5, I don't think anything. I don't think we can build anything for that. So and more than that, it's.
Are you building a bomb shelter?
Well, I mean, part of it would be the kind of basement that would be for different kinds of weather effects, but not anything extreme more than other people have in places where we now have more tornadoes.
It's got to be a really good feeling. I know when you have a dream and it actually comes to fruition, it's like a natural high. So you say building that dream home. It is a good feeling. I'm sure it's a lot of services, they say. But more than that, I believe that, I have a lifetime of understanding global warming. It's become my raison d'etre. It's become my reason for being. In terms of, I waited until the time was right before actually attempting to do anything major on it, and the time is right now, and that's why we have the new blog, What's Tickin' America. And the reason for that is because things are now upon us. Global warming isn't something for the future, but global warming's already started. Right. And it's a question of how much worse this is going to get and whether we can even sustain life on the planet. And unless we get smart in terms of the engineering of both what we need on the ground to sustain us, as well as, and I mean as a country, not just individuals. And also how we need to basically geoengineer some things that can be done
we're being foolhardy. We already lost the race in terms of carbon emissions. Mm-hmm. We've never reduced carbon emissions.
Right.
We've been able to hold the line to some extent with increased populations, mm-hmm. but we're still burning 20 million barrels of oil a day in America, and 4 times that in the world.
Right.
I mean, nothing has slowed down in terms of burning fossil fuels. It just hasn't speeded up as quickly as it otherwise would have.
So, before you were talking about, you realized years ago you needed to know how to plant and how to fix engines and all that. You actually bought a farm?
Oh, I bought a farm, yes. Yeah, I lived there for 7 years. I farmed that farm.
And did you wear the overalls?
I did, as a matter of fact.
Did you really?
Well, that's that. Yeah, I mean, not because I wanted to play a part, but because that's the most practical clothing to wear. More.
You still have the farm?
Not that farm, but I have another farm.
Oh, okay. You work it, or you have people working it, or?
Well, I just bought it this year, and the people that were working it are still working it. But I plan to be. You have no idea how much I'm looking forward to.
And that's up north.
My first tractor. yes.
Yeah.
I mean, my first tractor, my first new tractor. Although I'm concerned because, I used to be able to fix my car. I used to rebuild the engine, to fixing the brakes, to doing everything. Now I have a hard time.
Computerized now.
Now I have a hard time figuring out where do you add the.
I'm just a Jewish kid from New York, right? So fixing car, I know how to turn the key, but I learned. I was able to change spark plugs, that kind of stuff. I had a neighbor once show me I needed an alternator, right? Of course, after the fact, I found out it was under warranty after like 8 hours of trying to change. Yeah. But today got an alternator. You have to pull out the engine. And it's all computer. I mean, I got a light go on, have my wife take it over to the dealer, and I go, it's nothing. It's the heat on the tires, the Florida heat on your tires, and it's a sensor. Your tire is fine. It's like, give me a break, We're talking about global warming. We're talking about it on a global scale. And, we're talking about New England. We're talking about, what's going on with the Great Barrier Reef and the tsunamis and the 5 inches, 6 inches, 10 inches of rain that fell in Houston and Honduras.
No, that was 50 inches, 4 feet, 2 inches.
Yeah, 50 inches.
Yeah.
Let's bring it a little closer for a moment. How is South Florida going to be affected, and what do we have to do here?
I've been saying for a number of years now that I'm more concerned about a storm such as what hit Houston hitting Florida than I am about a hurricane and a tidal surge, because we're lucky. We've got this place. I got to tell you something. The people who really engineered South Florida did a really good job in terms of planning this place out. And there's priorities. So if you're a member of a country club or any kind of a location where you've got houses and lakes and so on, basically there's a certain level that lake's supposed to be. Your tertiary roads are supposed to be 10 feet above median sea level. Your houses are supposed to be at least 15 and a half feet above that. So your tertiary roads will flood before your houses flood. There's a certain order of things. Your golf course should be about 14 feet. So that whole area can take on water before your houses go.
Right.
And then after your house.
Last thing you wanted to do was ruin the golf course. So,
Well, better the golf course than the expensive homes around it.
Right.
And then if the houses go, then you need a community hall where everybody can go that should be even above that level. So, if everything is a sea around you, you're there. But that basically is based on a 100-year flood plan, which really amounts to about 18, 19 feet of rain. 19 feet. I'm sorry, 18, 19 inches of rain that would fall within a 3-day period with no water escaping from the community. That's basically the way we're all set up. And the 10 feet above median sea level and the 15 and a half, those are actual numbers.
Yeah, that I did not know. Yeah, that's interesting.
Right.
I never realized that.
Yeah, and then your main arteries, now we're getting into the infrastructure. That's even higher. So even if your house is flooded and the street in front of you is flooded, at least there's a major artery that's even higher. And then your interstate and your turnpike, they're even higher than those. So this is what the plan is. The plan is very, very smart.
Okay, so what do we do?
But it wasn't built for global warming. It wasn't built for changes of a climate. It was built for what our climate was. If you look at Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player ever, he was asked, what makes you better than the people that are than the other hockey players around you? And he said, well, they all go after the puck for where the puck is. I go after the puck for where the puck is going to be. Right now, we have a changing climate. We know we have a changing climate. I mean, we see more forest fires each year. We see more flooding each year. We see more of all these weather events every year. And as I'm telling you, this is an exponential curve, not a straight line, which means that it's going to hockey stick. And right now, the change of temperature on the planet is starting to hockey stick, literally.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then we need to look at where is the world going to be when we start changing our infrastructure and rebuilding it, which it needs to be done, but it needs to be done smart. It needs to be done for where the puck is going to be.
Right.
And this is one of the things that we address in What's Ticking America.
All right. So we are running out of time. So what's Tickton America?
No.
What's ticking?
Ticking. Tickin apostrophe. What's ticking America?
Right.
Because this is the time bomb that is ticking, as well as the other time bombs that we see in the news.
And on your Facebook page, you'll have links to it?
If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see it all. It's Peter Tickton, Ticktin. You can't miss it.
You can't miss it.
Yeah, you can go to the Facebook page now.
Recognize the face.
What's that?
And they'll recognize the face.
Well, the face, as they say, it's a face made for radio. So I'm glad this is radio.
Not anymore. You're, Anyway, thanks for spending a little time with me. I actually learned something. I didn't know about the levels, the house, the lakes. I knew lakes, they kept levels on, but I didn't know about the roads being a certain elevation, the houses being.
Yeah, the lakes are usually about 8 feet above medium sea level.
It's pretty interesting. You're listening to Peter's Living Room here on the World Entertainment and Information Network, and it's Thursday, so that means we broadcast all afternoon from 12 to 4 from the Transmedia building, just on the outside of beautiful downtown Boca Raton. Don't forget, Monday through Thursday, 7 o'clock, Peter's Living Room, a lot of other great shows. Friend us on Facebook, WEI Network, Peter's Living Room. Friend me, Peter Ween. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the day. Have a great evening. And hopefully we'll be talking with each other again on Monday. And again, thank you very much for being here, Peter.
Peter, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye, everyone.